Hello everyone. The topic of this video is conjunctions. Conjunctions are probably the most important aspects in astrology. And if you look at it, it's not easy to delineate because by itself, usually when you look at any aspect, you can tell whether it's a flowing aspect or a stressful aspect, not with conjunctions, because conjunctions simply says that there are two planets next to each other and they need to work together no matter what. And if they like each other, for instance, like Venus and Jupiter, it's okay. But if they don't like each other, then there's a problem because they still need to start working together. And of course, it usually depends on the planets themselves, but sometimes the sign, the medium in which they are also affects them naturally. When I teach conjunctions, I usually describe this as a union by which the resulting unit is always more than the participating members. And it's always like this. Two people, a couple is always more than separate people. A family of 2, 3, 4 people is always bigger than the separate people. They simply have bigger impact on life. They are stronger, they can do more. That is why group activity and group energy is very relevant. So this is how you look at conjunctions. That the two of them, or sometimes when it's a stellium, the 3 of them is always more, have a greater impact. And another way to look at it, because as I said, the main reason is to have a stronger chart, to have a stronger impact. But there could also be an underlying fear or some sort of scare. I live in the outskirts of Budapest, where I live next to a forest, and we have many, many animals, foxes, boars, wild boars, boars are quite scary. And in early spring, some boars came into my garden and totally wrecked it. So I'm not very happy about that. But of course, I know that we human beings intruded on their lives. So we took land from them, although this land has been there for 200 years, and my fence as well. So I'm not very happy about it, but I could kind of understand if you are hungry, you're going to invade and take whatever, and raid and take whatever you need. Anyhow, so this is not a very well-lit area. So for instance, if I have a friend who is not very brave, I sometimes I offer her to take her to the first bus stop. So another reason why we team up into pairs or groups is because we are scared of something, and we allow someone else to help us overcome this fear, because again, 2 are more than the separate 1 and 1. On the 23rd of April, we are going to have a number of conjunctions. Now, this chart is drawn for Budapest and for midday. It doesn't really matter because we're not going to look at the angles or anything else really. We are just going to look at the conjunctions, which are plenty in this particular chart. Just disregard that this is Black Moonlight is rising, because it is rising only in Budapest at noon, so you can disregard it. The reason why I chose this particular moment is because the moon is reaching to an exact conjunction with Venus. Actually, the conjunction, if you allow it 4 or 5, even 5 degree, will be valid all day. And it is applying here, which is about approximately 11 o'clock in the morning in London. And as you can see, there's about 2 degrees, they are 2 degrees apart, which means that by 3 o'clock p.m. London time, they will be exact. And there's going to be another at least 4 or 5 hours before they are separating. So the conjunction is valid for all day. And there are a number of other ones. So let's take a look, and let's only take a look at these conjunctions. This is what you have. In Aries, you have Jupiter and Aries. A couple of days ago, even 2 weeks ago, there was a huge conjunction, even stellium in Aries. Now, this is separated already, and what remains is the Jupiter-Aries conjunction. Jupiter enlarges everything it touches. It blows up things out of proportions. It also infuses things in enthusiasm and also hope. But Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances, is not very nice when it's blown up. But this is what you see: insecurity, wars, conflicts, clashes are disrupting the space-time moment in these days. And this conjunction will be exact for a number of days. And then it will slowly separate. And of course, but for the full week, you will have this. And then in Taurus, on the one hand, you have the Sun Western North Node conjunction. The Sun is applying to this conjunction, so it's going to be there for 2 more days. Vesta is the focusing principle, and the North Node is our chosen destiny, or our tasks, what we have chosen for us. In this particular space-time moment, we should concentrate on creating harmony, security, well-being, wealth, anything that is linked to Taurus. The problem is that if you look around the world, doesn't really support this. We have very dishonest leaders. I'm totally at a loss what is happening in the United States. I mean, this used to be the country of freedom, the country of free speech, of free enterprise, where politicians could be actually put in even into prison if they did something wrong. What is going on in the United States? It is really, I mean, it looks like a second-rate banana republic at the moment to me. It's unbelievable, and I don't really understand why the leaders think that they can get away with this. History always tells us that no, you can get away with something at a certain amount of time, but after that, dishonesty and corruption always collapses. And this goes for the European Union as well. We have dishonest, corrupt leaders. Our leaders are really in the pockets of Americans. We act as the 52nd state of the United States. It's really ridiculous. And we don't have a separate foreign policy. We don't have a separate economic policy. People make decisions and ruin other people's lives just by stupidity. It's really, really terrible. But this is exactly what's happening. That's the Jupiter-Aries conjunction. But with the Sun-Vesta North Node conjunction, we should just put this aside and concentrate on our own harmony and well-being, our own security, our own finances. Vesta means the focusing principle, and the North Node is teaching us in Taurus that this is what you need to deal with. You won't have this occasion or this opportunity for another 18 years, okay? And this is only valid for a couple of weeks. So now you need to act, and the Sun infuses this whole idea with energy and consciousness. So now is the moment to act. You need to secure your own well-being. This is the day, this is the time. Please do it. Mercury has turned retrograde. I'm not really interested in Mercury retrograde, to tell you the truth, simply because it occurs every year 3 times, and 2/3 of the population doesn't even care for it. You might be oversensitive or might be sensitive to retrograde Mercury. It may hinder contracts. There might be hidden agendas. Things may get lost. But actually, it's not such a big deal. What's more important is that it is in a separating conjunction with Uranus. It's higher octave. Uranus is flashes of inspiration and the aha feeling that all of a sudden I understand something. Of course, it's also disruption and chaos and anarchy, but now we are looking at the cerebral meaning of Uranus, and Mercury is normal communication, which is now inwardly focused because all retrograde planets are inward. And the Venus Moon conjunction is interesting because after the cataclysm, they dissected the feminine, the goddess energy, and they took the reproductive function in the moon and the happiness function into Venus. So the two feminine planets got separated throughout the centuries because there was the official wife who had to deliver the offspring, the heirs, and then there was Venus, Geisha, Hetera, hooker, whatever you name it. So this was very, very hermetically separated, these two archetypes. Every month, every 27.5 days, the moon is conjunct Venus, so allowing the goddess to unite. So you have this goddess energy also infused in the space-time moment. And then you have dark moon Lilith conjunct trans Pluto. Dark moon is the second turning point in the Lilith myth, when Lilith leaves the Garden of Eden and takes upon herself Yahweh's curse and doesn't go back. And so dark moon is always linked to a curse, not in the way that I curse you, but in the way that you can curse me, I don't care, I won't do what you want me to do. So it's my way or the highway, something like that. And of course, trans Pluto is dimension jump, but also channeling. So you can channel information about that. Let's take a look at the transcendental objects, as we always do. And here we have Hatshepsut and Cybele on the Sun, West, and North node. Hatshepsut was the first and only documented female pharaoh, a strong woman, and so is Cybele, a goddess, a true goddess. So you have this very strong feminine energy linked to Sun, West, and North node. And you have two fixed stars, Meshartim and Sheraton. These two stars seem to be very prominent this year. These are beta and gamma stars for Aries. And Meshartim especially is important because the January 1st chart had the moon there aligned or conjunct with Meshartim. And Meshartim is definitely it was called the first star of Aries because that is actually the first star that is lit up in the constellation Aries. So that is the first star that the sun reaches. And it denoted a new era. So we are nearing a new era. Something is winding down and something else is starting. Although it's funny because we had this moment in time when the Soviet Union collapsed in 91, 92, and when they allowed the satellite countries to leave in 89. So that was also a moment in time. We will see what will happen. On Jupiter Aries, you have Arachne and Zoser. Arachne is a hubris asteroid. It means that we vote against the gods. When I don't accept the leadership of gods, when I don't accept the fate that they want to push on me, and I'm revolting against those things. And Zoser, who was a pharaoh, pyramid builder. So again, two very strong archetypes. And on Mercury, you have, and if you take a look, there's about 2 degrees, 2.5, almost 3 degrees between Mercury and Uranus. And because the transcendental celestial objects have an orb only of 1 degree, so we have separate sets of objects here. On Mercury, I have two fixed stars, Menkar and Almach. Menkar is Alpha Cetus, the stair of the celestial veil, and the set occupies the liminal space between Aries and Taurus. And it usually denotes very, very strong things coming from the unconscious and also psychological abilities. And Almach is Beta, Andromeda, feminine, happiness, and life force. On Uranus, we have two not very nice asteroids, Nemesis and Phaethon. Nemesis is the punisher of hubris. And Phaethon is one of the disaster or the cataclysm asteroids. And this is not very nice on Uranus, to tell you the truth. On Moon Venus, we have Helena. So here you have a complete set of strong and beautiful feminines. Helena, of course, is the most beautiful woman on Earth. She triggered the Trojan War. On Trans Pluto, I have Geisha. So the ancient tradition of the female happiness generator, let's put it this way. And on the South Node, you have Nympha, another strong feminine. Okay, so those are the celestial objects linked to the placement. And we also have a classic trapeze around 25, 26 degrees of the planet of the signs. There are certain asteroids and planets. Actually, there's only 2 planets and the rest are asteroids. And out of the first four asteroids, you have 3 in the picture in this classic trapeze. What is a trapeze? It's always like some sort of place where you can step on. It's like a stage where you have something to say, something to produce, something to show the others what you know or what you want to perform. So it's a performing platform. And it has a base in this sense. In this case, it is the Ceres Neptune opposition. That is the base of your talent or your means to express yourself. Inside, you have 2 trines, so that's the inner energy, 2 trines, harmony, and the need to create harmony. And the rest of the aspects are sextiles. The 2 sides are showing us how we can step on top of the stage. Sextiles are always giving us potentials, and the top of the stage shows how difficult or how easy it is to show the world what you know. And this is also a sextile, so it's a flowing thing. And the participating celestial objects are Neptune and Ceres are opposite each other. Ceres is the nurturing principle, while Neptune is transcendence and universal love. Those are now opposite. The sides are on the one hand, Pallas Athena, Ceres, 2 very different archetypes, because Pallas Athena is the single woman, the wise girl who never actually marries, and Ceres is the nurturing principle, the mothering principle. The top is also interesting because Pallas Athena and Juno are also mutually exclusive archetypes, because Juno is the committed first lady, the wife, to be in a committed, true, and important relationship. And Pallas Athena is a single woman who never marries. But this sextile gives us the impression that, yes, we actually can be independent, even if we are committed. And yes, we can be single mothers, even if we are committed. And then the Neptune, Juno sextile is about how we can actually infuse universal love into our relationships. And there's also a little angel wing. And of course, there's a square between the Jupiter Aries and Pallas Athena, which is a separating square already. It's a cardinal separating square. But the angel wing gives us some hope, because think about it, this very disruptive, very ugly Jupiter Aries conjunction is kind of redeemed by the Neptune-Juno sextile. So if we are making commitments and if you are allow universal love to infuse our relationships, partnerships, covenants, contracts, then there is hope that this is not going to escalate. At least this is what I'm hoping. Here are the transcendental objects. On Jupiter Aries, again, you have Arachne and Zoser. We are not going to delineate it once more. On Neptune, you have Nephthys. And on Ceres, Osiris. And Nephthys and Osiris are of the same Theban family, the Theban quadruplets. Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Seth. Nephthys and Seth are the negative couple, the dark couple, and Osiris and Isis are the positive, the light couple, the life-giving couple. And Nephthys, who is the wife of Seth, implies a very funny relationship. It means that I am committed to a villain. I am the wife of someone who is dark, who is evil, but still I am committed to him. So whenever you see Nephthys, this is a very strong archetype who is willing to actually commit, even though she knows who she is committed to. On Juno, we have two centaurs. One actually is a TNO, the other one is a true centaur, but in karmic astrology, we label them together as centaurs simply because they have the very same role. They describe karmic wounds. Alicanto is the bird, the precious metal eating bird, who is eating, whenever eating too much, is not able to shine, not able to fly. So it means that if you are too eager, you are too greedy, you won't be able to function. And Pelion is the mountain where the centaurs live, where their caves are. And Pelion describes the mountain of life, which you need to conquer, which you need to use as your home. And the fixed star Capulus, which is not really a fixed star, it is a nebula. So it's not just one single star, it's a bunch of stars, is the tip of Perseus's sword. And it is first of all, the healing word, but also the preparational word for masculinity, the strong masculine who was born with a sword in his hand, who is able to defend whoever he needs, but also able to attack. So that's interestingly enough, on Juno. On Pallas Athena, you have two philosophers, Plotinus and Boethius. And Plotinus was the Greek philosopher of Neoplatonism, and Boethius was a Roman a senator and also teacher and philosopher in the 5th century. So we have this triple wisdom energy, which infuses the space-time moment. And on Ceres of Osiris, the light couple, the male of the light couple, and then Selene, the moon goddess. So that's what we have in this angel ring. And the space-time moment is also interesting because we have 3 out-of-bounds personal planets at the moment. As you can see, the moon is really out of bounds. This is the celestial equator, and this is the ecliptic. I took this from Solar Fire, so I copied the Solar Fire planetarium and the placements. And as you can see, there's another conjunction in the declinations here, Mars and Venus. They are not even near each other, and still they are parallel each other. So that's the second type of conjunction, which you won't be able to see from the chart wheel. You have to take a look at the planetarium and also the placements to see, yes, they are actually conjunct. And so is the moon. Of course, it's slightly out of order because I only allow 1 degree. But anyhow, whenever you see out of bounds planet, you need to understand that they left the normal stage of human encounters, and they stepped out into the universe, into the dark, and we don't always know how they work. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. And what we do know, though, is that they are stepping out because as a result of extreme pain. So whenever you do have a planet that is out of bounds, you must know that in a previous lifetime, you experienced some sort of extreme pain. And so it left the normal space of the human era, of the human stage, so to speak. And they usually denote special traits, but they came through pain. Anyhow, that is the space-time moment for the 23rd with these multiple interesting conjunctions. I hope this helped you understand what conjunctions are, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.